As far as you guys are Christians, obviously, so you guys would subscribe to Christ being the God of the Old Testament?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, okay, perfect. So, um, as a Hebrew Israelite,
100%.
okay, as a Hebrew Israelite, we do get a lot of flack or negative energy. People kind of get us wrong, and they will attack us for certain beliefs, especially one about being racist. If anybody's familiar with Hebrew Israelites, we get called racist a lot. But I just want to ask and kind of reason and see if we can come to an agreement here on that topic. The topic of racism. What do you guys like? What would be a Christian's definition of racism?
What would be
Um,
a Christian's definition of
It,
racism?
would
I don't
would
think
it?
that there is a Christian
Yeah, is
definition of
there a different
racism. You can
definition in
ask people
Christianity?
personally what they think racism is, but there's nothing in the Bible that describes racism like that, except if you want to go into looking at the attitudes that God has prescribed for uh, through the Apostle Paul for us not to have, and like like a Hebrew Israelite, if they hate people, they are defiled according to what Jesus said. You see how that works?
Hmm. Okay,
Jesus said
so
Jesus
yeah,
said that hatred comes from the inside of a man and defiles a man. And so if a Hebrew Israelite hates white people, that person is defiled spiritually,
okay,
according to what Jesus is saying.
real quick, but just to clarify, when you say hatred, you certainly don't mean any type of hatred, right?
No, I mean the type of hatred that causes people to want to destroy others and take their children and bash their heads against stones and all of that kind of stuff like that.
Okay, I'm intrigued you brought that up because I guess we both know that's a verse in the
Yeah, well, it's
Bible.
a whole bunch of
Would you say
verses
that?
in the Bible, brother. I just brought that up
Yeah,
because
yeah, I'm speaking
people
about
have
the one you
used it.
quoted.
People have used it to describe what they want to do to white people. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, so before we, interpolate what is that saying and who he's talking about? I mean, would you agree that's a psalm of David or a psalm of one of his scribes?
Yeah, yeah. Whoever wrote it, it doesn't matter. It wasn't God that said
Do
it.
you, and do you think that person was full of hatred,
Yeah, I do.
and so he was defiled?
No, I'm talking about Hebrew Israelites being defiled. When I
Oh,
mentioned
oh,
defile, I wasn't necessarily speaking about that person, but according to Jesus, if you have hatred in your heart, if hatred, then you are defiled. That they said this defiles a man, and so a human being from Christ's perspective is an unclean person spiritually if hatred is emanating from the inward man.
okay, real quick. So just to go back, I agree with Christ. I believe in Christ as well. But just to go back, the person who wrote that psalm, some say David, some say it's a scribe of his, whoever. I would agree God's not speaking there. But would you say that person was full of hatred, or was that person defiled by your own terms because he wanted to dash babies' heads against stones from a particular nation? It may not be white people, we can argue who it is, but he wanted to do that. Would you say he was defiled?
I couldn't give you my, I can, base it on, you're asking me personally. I'm just saying Jesus said that to have hatred coming from a person's heart
Well,
defiles the person. So that if that person, I'd have to really need to go back and look at the song because I like to take things in context. So that's really what we need to do is go and bring up the song and take a good look at it.
right. I'm just trying to, if we're gonna be consistent with the logic, to want to do harm to another person based off of the race would make them defiled, as you put Hebrew Israelites in that category. I just want to be consistent here and see, okay, was the writer of this psalm in the same category?
I mean,
I
Well, hold
you
on. The
could, you
writer of the psalm did not look at the doctrine the same way the Hebrew Israelites look at the doctrine. So, Pastor Sam's point was by the Hebrew Israelites' doctrine, they are defiled and therefore have a problem. The writer of the psalm is not under Hebrew Israelite doctrine.
okay, what do you mean by the doctrine?
The writer of the psalm here is expressing, lamenting at what's happened to the nation of Israel, right? This is one of the instances where the Bible is reporting the news. This is not prescriptive. But under Hebrew
No, I know.
Israelite doctrine, these kinds of things are all prescriptive. So Sam is pointing out that that's where the problem is.
No, I agree with that, but I just want to understand. So when you say he wasn't under the doctrine, are you talking about the full scope of Hebrew Israelite doctrine, or are you talking about this one particular thing involving
The
racism?
author of the psalm would not have looked at this writing as being an example of defilement, right? We would have understood that this is not in line with God's will. Like look at the psalm itself. It says, "For our captors were telling us, sing a song of Zion." And then we said in return, "Blessed shall be who takes your little ones and dashes them against the rocks." This is not prescriptive. So these are like two completely different things going on. Sam is saying, in your own doctrine, racism defiles you in your doctrine because you must obey the laws, statutes, and commandments. This author of this psalm is not under any such understanding.
Right, but I don't disagree with that. I wasn't saying it's a I'm not saying that psalm is prescribing us to do anything. I never said that. What I said was, and this is what the pastor was saying. He said to have that type of hatred in your heart towards another nation, and he quoted the psalm, not me, so I was interested by that. To have that type of hatred in your heart towards another race would make you defiled, and then he quoted the psalm. So I just want to know if we're gonna, again, this is not a prescriptive.
In
the
Hold
Israelite
on,
answer
let
to
me
your
doctrine,
question,
let me
I
just
went and looked at the song.
right.
To answer
Let me
your question, according to Jesus, it's defilement. It
right.
doesn't
Let me
matter
just finish
if
my
you're in captivity or if you're not in captivity. You can be in Babylon,
yeah.
you could be in Jerusalem.
Right. I'm
The
not.
principle that Jesus brought to light for humanity was that to have hatred, to have unforgiveness in your
I'm not.
heart is defilement. That's what that answers your question for any nation, any person who you want to apply, any human being, for whatever reason, is still defilement. Just because somebody does something to you does not make you clean when you do something back to them out of the hatred in your heart.
All right.
Okay.
With all due respect, Pastor, that wasn't what I was asking.
Oh, I was just
I
I was just
hold,
clearing
hold,
it
let
up
me,
just
cause
in case you
I
cross
just
those
wanna,
boundaries.
yeah, but I just like to finish, right? So what I'm trying to say is, because I don't want to be misrepresented, nor do I want to misrepresent you guys. And I feel like we're having a good dialogue, and I think it's fruitful and helpful. And I appreciate you guys letting me on, but I would like to finish without being cut off, and I'll do my best to do the same for you guys. So my point is that, and I agree with Steph, the psalm is not prescriptive, it's descriptive. He's speaking about an event of something that happened and how he felt and what maybe he wanted to do. He's not commanding us to do that. But my point was, if we're going to go off of the theme of what the pastor is saying, and I just kind of want an admission, and maybe Steph or somebody else could do it, or the pastor, right? If we're going off of the consistent idea that, okay, if you have that type of hatred towards another race for the reason of them being of another race, or including maybe what they have done to you, would that psalmist be defiled with hatred in his heart? That's kind of what I want. Before we move forward, can we come to an agreement on that?
So I'm trying to see if everybody heard me last time I spoke. Did I sound like I answered his question to myself, or does everybody else agree that I answered that already?
Was that a yes or no, Pastor? Did you say yes or no?
Did I answer that already?
Yeah,
Can I get a mic blink to the fact that I answered that question?
well, the dialogue's between us, so I'll just to be clear, was that a
I'm
yes
just
here?
saying, I thought that I answered that
Okay.
question already.
Okay, maybe
Nah,
I
nah,
missed it.
nah, nah.
Maybe I missed it, Pastor. So was that a
Yeah.
yes? The
Hmm?
psalmist is.
Nah, 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 nah.
Was that a
Your
yes?
mic,
The
And
you
the
number
got
four,
you
psalmist.
you.
got a hot mic, Apostle. I'm gonna mute you, bro.
I'm sorry.
No
Okay,
problem.
appreciate it. Was that a yes that the psalmist was defiled?
Whoever, I think I made myself clear
Yeah,
that
I'm
it
not really
doesn't
hearing a
matter.
yes or
He
no.
did say yes. He already
Did I?
said
Oh,
Yeah,
he
yes.
did.
already.
Okay. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. So he's defiled, no problem. Now, what I want to ask is, and you guys stated Jesus is the God of the Old Testament, right? And I asked what was the definition of racism. So now I agree. I think that there is a. I don't think a Christian would have their own personal definition of what racism is. I just wanted to ask for clarity in case that was the, in case that's what it was. But would we all agree that racism would mean to discriminate against a person due to their race? Like, so I'll give an example. I'll just give a real quick example. If I was to loan somebody money, let's say I give out loans, and then I give everybody loans, and then depending on your race, I do or I don't take interest back. Would that be a racist thing to do?
I'm
I
sorry.
don't know if
Can
I
you
understand
repeat
that
that?
question. Yeah, right.
Okay. If I give out loans, I'm a bank. I own a bank, and I give out loans to people. And depending on, let's just make it more clear. If I say all white people who take loans out, it's interest free. But if you're of the African American race, I have to charge you interest. Would that be a racist thing to do?
Generally, we would see that as having a disparate impact, which would be legally
Yes.
racist. Yes.
Okay. So my question is, don't we see anything like that in the scriptures prescribed?
Oh my gosh.
But so
In
what? We're not talking about that.
we see, hold on.
We're
We see
talking.
that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. The Bible is not written with a prescription for 2025 modern day America. The Bible is written by and for nomadic tribes that were warring with each other and that needed to keep personal interests intact in order to keep their society together, which Hebrew Israelites would say still applies today, which is puzzling, right? So if the Bible prescribes how you should take prisoners of war from other nations, that does not mean that you get to go and march on your white neighbor and take them as a prisoner of war. Like, this is, the Bible is in zero instances is intended to be used in this manner. That's how slavery was justified in the first place using the biblical text. This is a very dangerous ground to walk on that Hebrew Israelites ought not be so happy about.
Yeah. The only problem with that is it sounds good, but the prescriptions that we see that I'm referring to are from the God of the Old Testament, who you guys admitted was Jesus
Yep.
Christ. So unless you're willing to say some of Jesus Christ's words are no longer, don't have any meaning or value to them anymore, which I don't think you guys would say that, you can't say that this is just a cultural thing that was only prescribed back then,
We
because this is.
absolutely
Hold,
can.
Yeah,
hold, hold
Let
on
me
one second.
explain
exactly.
why.
I've done my best to not cut anybody off, so I would just like the same respect. So, right. Thank you. I'm almost done. So this is not a cultural interpretation of, oh, well, this is just how they view things. This is God speaking in the Old Testament. You guys say this is Jesus, so you can't just say that was only something the Israelites made up as a cultural thing, etc. It's actually God speaking, right? Now you can say, well, we don't have these laws. We shouldn't follow those laws anymore because now we're in the new covenant. That's fine. Hold on, give me 1 second. Sorry.
I can't wait to have
I
him
would
read this
also
Bible verse. Can I, Sam, could I just tie this up and then just be
Yeah,
done?
yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
about that.
Because that
I
that
would
So
is
you can't.
I would also like to step in if you give me an opportunity.
Yeah, for sure,
yeah.
for sure.
After he's done,
Right,
y'all.
yeah, yeah. So I'm just saying that these are the words of the God of the Old Testament giving
Hmm.
these prescriptions. What would you say to that?
Yeah, here's what I'd say to that. Can you please read Deuteronomy 23, 12 to 14?
Sure, no problem. Give me 1 second.
While he's doing that, I'll do it once again. Hey, I'm Pastor Sam. Welcome to Living Jesus Differently, the Fit Church. I am the first host going live for no reason. So if you see anybody else doing it, you know they just copycatting because, hey, I'm going live for no reason. Let me say hi to my friends. Terrence is on deck. Good to see you, Terrence. Miss Jess, my favorite. She's just, she probably at work, can't come up right now, but I want to say hi to everybody. Shawnee, Jamar, Shay, Doris, David, everybody. Um, we're having a discussion with Yadawan. I think that's how, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right.
You can call me Jonathan. It's easier.
All right, that'll work. And so he had some questions, and Steph was about to answer, and Randall said he wanted to have something to say on the topic.
Yeah. So I'll read the verse here. I'm just at work, so I'm trying to multitask. So Deuteronomy 23 and 19. Thou shalt
Nope,
not.
nope, sorry. 12 to 14.
Sorry, Deuteronomy 23:12 to 14.
Yeah.
Okay. Thou shalt have a place also without the camp, whither thou shalt go forth abroad, and thou shalt have a paddle upon thy weapon, and it shall be when thou wilt eat.
Beautiful. So when you meet with your Hebrew Israelite brothers, is there a bathroom in the facility?
We meet on the. Me personally, I meet on the street. We go to preach. I'm not sure what you're. Okay, maybe
Okay.
you could clarify
If
what you
if
mean.
you were to meet in a building or someone's house, would it be okay for there to be a bathroom in there?
In somebody's house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're meeting there. You're discussing the okay. So there's why is it okay for there to be a bathroom in the place where you're meeting to discuss the things of the Lord?
I'm trying to understand.
Just come along with me. Why is it okay for there to be a bathroom in a place where you're meeting to discuss the things of the Lord?
Where does it say in somebody's house there can't be a bathroom?
It says, wherever the Lord walketh amongst you, there can't be a bathroom. What you
No.
just read says that if you have to relieve yourself, you must do it outside of your camp, which means where you're meeting to discuss talking about
Oh,
the
I see
Lord
what you're
and
saying.
also where you are living.
I
Now,
see what you're saying.
and here,
Okay,
I'll
can I?
just cut to the chase.
Well, can I
What you,
respond to that real quick?
well, if you answer my question,
No,
why would it
Yeah, I'm
be
gonna ask. Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Yeah, why
yeah.
would it be okay that there's a bathroom in the place where you're meeting or living?
Okay, I may answer that straightforward because there's a misunderstanding of this law. Verse 9 says, when the host goeth forth against thine enemies, then keep thee from every wicked thing. And then it goes on to proceed, what is clean and unclean for the host of the camp that is going to war. So this wouldn't apply to an everyday situation in somebody's house. I see why you came to that
No, read
conclusion.
10. If there be among
I
you
wasn't, I wasn't, I was,
any man, not
I
just the
wasn't,
host. So
Steph, I
hold
wasn't
on,
done.
Jonathan. I'm
I'm giving,
only
I'm trying to
interrupting
give
you
my
because,
full,
hold on,
can I give
but
hold
the
but
on,
full?
but
Jonathan.
Jonathan, you already gave your full,
No, 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 I
and
didn't.
we're
I
trying
didn't.
to. I
I didn't.
understand what you're saying, but you taking up more time than you being allotted for the moderators to speak their
Well,
mind. We
Pastor,
don't mind you having something to say, but what you're gonna have to do is you have to get your pen out, write your thoughts down so you won't lose them. But in the meantime, Steph is talking.
but
Go ahead,
Pastor,
Steph.
Jonathan,
I
I
was,
want to
but
hear the rest.
Steph, I
Hold
You
on,
was
pen,
Jonathan.
literally,
Jonathan, hold
pen and
on.
pad, brother. Pen
I
and
was
pad. This is
literally,
beautiful.
I am interrupting you. I
wow.
want to hear the answer to this question, but already your precept is incorrect. Verse 9 says, when the host goeth forth. Verse 10 says, but if there be any man among you, he shall wash himself with water, clean himself outside the camp, defecate outside the camp. This is not applying to just the host. So do you want to adjust your precept?
Yeah, I have no problem answering, but I would,
I'm sorry.
Steph, I'd
What
really
scripture
like if
y'all
we,
at?
we're in Deuteronomy 23, and I'm starting at 9. I really would like to not be cut off in the middle of
I'm
my
going to
speech. You
cut you
see,
off if you're
hold
making
Steph, but
false
Steph, I'm
assertions.
no Steph.
Read from
Somebody can be.
9, read from
Can I
9,
just?
and
Can
refrain
I
from
just?
making false assertions.
Can I speak at all?
Yes, but you are going to get corrected if you make
Can
false
I speak without
assertions.
being cut off? But if I feel like you made a false assertion, I would let you
Go ahead,
finish, and
explain to
then
me
can
where the false assertion
I
is.
just need like 15
You got
seconds
15
without
seconds.
interruptions. Okay, right. If I feel like you made a false assertion, I would
Your
let you
15
finish your
seconds
full
are
thought.
running.
You're losing
Can
your
I? You're
time.
still. I know. Okay, I see that because it's a bit emotional for you
You're
guys to deal with. I
losing
see that.
time. Say
9,
what you're
I'm
going
trying.
to say,
I'm still
7.
being cut off. I'm still being cut off though.
Please answer the
but
question. I'll
shut
start
No,
your
up about
15
all of
seconds
no.
that
over.
and
Just
just make your
answer.
statement.
But Steph, I've been
Just
respectful
make
this
your
whole
Quiet out.
time.
statement, dude.
Now
Hey,
everybody's
hey,
cutting me.
Pastor,
I've been
All
let
right.
him
No,
respectful.
quiet
I'm
out.
telling
Here's what
you.
I'm going to
Hold
do.
on, hold on, hold on,
I'm
hold on. Let me
actually.
do a reset right quick. Let me do a reset right quick. Look, bro, I'm going to reset you for 15 minutes, seconds, not minutes. Oh my God, no. I'm going to reset you. Matter of fact, I'm going to reset you for 20 seconds. However, that I suggest to you is that you don't spend your 20 seconds complaining about being cut off and just explain your premise. Other than that, when 20 seconds is done and you have used it for mishmash, that's going to be on you. So you have an opportunity to just get to the point. 20 seconds and counting when you come off mic.
All right. So that was a wrong understanding, Steph, because again, the context of 9 is when you go forth to war against your enemy. The if there be among you any man is in with context of the camp that goes forth to war against your enemies. We see this in verse 14. It says, "For the Lord thy God walketh in the midst of thy camp to deliver thee and to give thee up, give and to give up thine enemies before thee. Therefore shall thy camp be holy." The thing that it's talking about being holy from is from the uncleanness of where you go to the washroom in this context.
Okay, so the topic of this conversation is whether we need to apply literally and prescriptively every part of the Bible. Hebrew Israelites do hold the position that everything in the Old Testament is prescriptive for
No, that's
today.
not true.
And you
That's wrong.
also, well, that was the premise
No,
of your
that's
initial
wrong. That's
argument.
wrong.
So
Hey,
That's
why
that
did you cut her
that
off?
was the premise
because
of
she
your
cut
initial
me
You
off
cutting her
argument.
off. You cutting her
because she
off.
cut me off when she said I was wrong. So she was wrong.
Okay.
So I should have
Let
the
me
same
say
right.
something that's not wrong. Let me say something that's not wrong. I will correct what I said. My understanding of your argument is that the Bible, as we see in the Psalm about bashing babies' heads against rocks, ought to be applied
No,
prescriptively.
no,
Therefore, you can't correct me because
no.
I'm saying this is
It's
my
it's
understanding.
wrong.
This is my understanding.
You cut
Okay,
me
you
off
can
when you
correct
thought
my
I was wrong.
understanding when you're done.
Oh,
So
okay,
if
all right.
when I'm done, you can correct my understanding. So, my understanding of your argument is that the Bible is prescriptive. And because this is what you said, if Jesus Christ is the God of the Old Testament and that's what we believe, then anything Jesus Christ says in the Old Testament is prescriptive. That is the argument that you have been making so far. So, Jesus Christ here is telling people that when they're at war and they have a camp where they are living, battling, discussing, Bible study, scriptural study, whatever they're doing, they cannot use the bathroom inside the camp. In fact, there's a very detailed description of what they have to do when they need to use the bathroom. Now, you, a Hebrew Israelite who claims that you are at war under the captivity of your oppressors, ought not have toilets in your house if the Bible is to be interpreted the way you advocate for it to be interpreted. My whole point here is that you and I both agree it's fine to have bathrooms in our house, which means you must allow for the Bible to exist in its historical context, under the context of the historical writers, and still be authentic, reliable, and inerrant. Unfortunately, that blows your entire doctrine out the window. You ought to be pooping outside your camp.
Okay, again, you took this law completely out of context. It says when
Are
you
you
go
not at
forth
war?
to war again.
I,
Can I
I got I
can I
got a
can
shovel.
I
I got a shovel that
That's
can
I
I
got
right.
finish?
under
This
my
man,
Guys,
boots.
someone get this man a
can I
shovel.
finish?
Get this
It
man a
sounds like you guys
shovel.
are hurt
No, your argument
because
was
you
just
No,
guys
okay,
don't
annihilated.
understand.
so
The
we're gonna stop
end.
with the
I
dumb.
can I am I
That's a
allowed to
No,
cut.
respond?
no, you can't respond because
The
you keep
audience sees
making
what's going on,
statements.
just for the record.
Man, don't nobody care about what the audience sees.
I know, because you're
Okay?
so conceited and
No,
selfish. You're
because
not considering other people's
listen,
Hey, come
listen.
on.
views.
Hey,
Here's
come
what.
on, Jonathan. Why you crying like that, man?
Watch.
No,
Stop,
because
man.
I'm not being
Stop,
treated with respect
stop,
when I
stop,
respected you
We
guys.
stop,
know that happened.
stop.
You know that happened
Now
in
you've
your
been
room.
totally
Stop
respected.
playing.
Shut up, man. Good Lord.
Slide, slide. They tryna act like we ain't gon' slide. 1611 and we still outside. Cut from a cloth that you still can't buy. All my Aki and they gon'